Hey there, I have a new game out. It is free to play, kind of a puzzly thing. Your first puzzle should only take like a few minutes to solve, so if you want to just skip this and just like go play, there's a link in the description. Otherwise, I'm going to talk you through like my process and just give you a quick show of it. So, where did the game come from? I was, as I often do, thinking about dice. I pictured them in like a grid. There we go. Got a grid of dice. And I was just thinking about them turning rows and columns. And I was thinking, would it be possible to turn all of the faces to 6 all at once by only turning the rows and columns? And it turns out, yes, it is possible, and it works for like any arrangement of grid. So like if it's square grid, rectangular grid, you can add as many dice as you like. I've got here, so like this would work, this works. It always works, which is fun. And once you figure out the trick, which shouldn't be too tricky to figure out, like if you're being deliberate with it, you can have a lot of fun with it. Like it's a puzzle that works if you just got a few dice. It's random every time because you can just roll the dice. Sorry if that's loud. And then hey, you have a grid and you can try and solve it. And it's actually like, if you're interested in this kind of puzzle, sorry, there we go. If you're interested in that kind of puzzle, you'll find this pretty similar. It is a lot easier to learn. Like you can, like I say, the first solve will probably only take you a few minutes just to kind of like figure out some trick that will work. But it is awkward to manipulate with your hands. Like this is awkward, if I'm honest. And if you've got a row of 4, it's very, you can see one's turning on its own, and it's a little bit iffy. So I've made a computer version of the game. You know, it's great to have like just some dice and solve a puzzle, but I thought that this could be its own thing, and I have spent a few months working on it. It is completely free, apart from a couple of extras. Everything that matters is completely free. I'll get into the extras later. So when you get into your first grid, it will give you some scrambled dice, and your goal is to get the 6s to the top. The 6s all have like a different colour face to the other ones, so you can very quickly see which one you're aiming to bring to the top, and you can ignore the pips if you like. Wow, I was considering hiding the pips entirely, and some of the custom styles that you can make, if you have the DLC, they do have the pips removed, because sometimes it makes it easier, but I opted to keep the pips because I like dice. I meant to show more of that before I got on. Let's scramble. Okay, so if you're familiar with speed cubing, you'll see that there is an inspection time. So this is time to examine the grid before the timer actually starts. You can plan out your first moves this way. We're not going to worry about that right now. And if you want, you can disable that in the settings. You can have no timer. You can have it wait until you make your first move for the timer to begin. There are several ways to control this. You can use just the mouse. Touchscreen also works. You can play with the keyboard, one set of keys to highlight and another to turn. You can use a controller. This is one analog stick to highlight and another one turns. So you can be like very quick using any of these controls. My preferred input method is the mouse and keyboard together. So I can, wow, do it like that. When you start out, it will not go like that. You will probably take a few minutes to figure out the trick and how things work. I have been playing for months, so I know little algorithms, little finger tricks that I can input very quickly and get a 4.6, which is not a bad time at all. So that is the basics of grids. You can choose like how large of a grid, from 2 dice by 2 dice up to 5 dice by 5 dice. I did consider having larger grids than this. I tried them out and it turns out they're just not especially more interesting if you increase the number of dice past really 4 by 4. Like if you can solve a 4 by 4 grid, you can solve any size grid. It doesn't get more complicated than that. But if you do want things to be more interesting, a bit more of a challenge, you can add different kinds of dice. Fast dice are dice that will turn twice for every single turn of a row or column. So if I move this column once to the right, you can see that the fast dice turn over twice. So that makes it a bit more interesting. There are also slow dice, which go half the speed of other dice. So for every single turn, they turn only a fraction. And if you've got a dice that is partly turned, it blocks the turning on the other thing. So as you can imagine, that's going to make things a bit more of a challenge, especially if you're relying on algorithms to solve the grids for you. And there are a couple of other things to make it a bit more of a challenge. There are pegs. These pegs cannot be brought to the top of a die. So that will also challenge you with your knowledge of algorithms and things. There are locks, which if they are brought to the top, will lock a row and column for a few seconds. Any grids generated can be solved. Any grids generated with locks can be solved without, making the lock happen. But sometimes you might decide, well, it's going to be faster if I just take the penalty. There is also memory solves, and these are like blindfolded speed cubing solves. If you are familiar, I need to memorize this before the inspection time is done. Left, down. Okay, I can do this. Okay. So yeah, you need to memorize the grid, and then once the timer starts, you're on your own until the grid is solved. These are obviously not beginner things, so like when you're starting out, you can completely ignore that mods section. But this is like the normal mode is basically where you go to get some grids and you can practice. Series mode will give you a series of authored grids. These are not random. They're the same every time. You can move between different grids in the series. And once we start, we will be off. Sorry, I'm just trying to demonstrate. There we go, and series complete. And a series has like time and move count contained to the whole thing. There are other modes, nodes and drills. They don't unlock right away. Let me just turn on an assist to unlock all of the game modes. Drill mode is very good for when you're starting out. This is a very challenging one to begin with. It's got 6 moves to solve it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Like when you first open a drill, it will give you only how many moves it will take to solve, but once you wait a few seconds, it will show you the inputs that you need to make. You'll need to figure out which dice to input those moves on, but I know up, up, left, so up, left. This is a good way to learn very short sequences of moves that will improve your understanding of how to solve grids, how to see them, and you can solve several dice at a time. There's also practice mode, which is good for just studying like algorithms, finding them out for yourself. how to turn dice. Nodes mode is for when you're really getting clever. Is because there are you do this these little connections between nodes on the top. So it's not enough to just wow, to just bring the correct faces to the top. They also need to be the right way around as well. There we go. So a lot of the algorithms that work in the normal mode, they need to be tweaked, and need to be mindful about like the order that they go in and things like that for this mode. It's like I say, it's for experts. Let me see. There are achievements. One of the things I like about this game is that there are a lot of challenges for whatever your skill level currently is. Like as you develop, there's always something to aim for. Like, can I solve this? Can I solve this grid? It's like obviously the first thing you start out. Then like, how quickly can I solve it? Can I solve it with fast dice? What about fast dice and slow dice? Can I solve it if it's a larger grid with fast dice and slow dice? Can I solve it with fast dice and a memory? Can I, do all of these things? And then there's nodes mode, there's various series. You can try and get better times. Yeah, there's always something to aim for. So that's basically the game. But like I say, there are some things that can be unlocked if you buy the DLC. It's not expensive, but I need money from time to time, so if you could help me out with that, I would appreciate it. I will show you all of the things, but I won't show you the unlock code. You need to pay for that. Okay, so we've unlocked everything. Style is one of the things. We can pick different appearances for our grids and the environment. Like there's a bunch of preset themes that you can choose from. I like this. This one's a good one. You can also, like in the free version, choose from a daily theme, which is different every day, but you can't customize or choose which theme specifically. These you can completely customize, so you can choose dice material, dice shapes, dice colors, can invert things, choose which glyphs appear where. That looks kind of nice, the black and the red. I've accidentally made a very nice one. Give it an outline if we want. Let's make it red. Let's make it blue. I don't know. Anyway, you can customize it as you please. Let's change the background though. Let's just change the background. Let's make it nice wood. Give it a dark green. Oh yeah, okay. Anyway, so yes, you can customize the style as you like. There is also statistics. Let's pick a mode that I've done a few solves with. The statistics will show you basically your history of solves. I've only solved a few in this because I've started with a fresh save, but you can see like the solve times over time. I can see my move counts also, so like depending on what you're trying to optimize for, you can see how your skills are progressing. You can view the data on each individual solve, including like how long you spent examining it. So like for this one, I only inspected for 9 seconds before I jumped in. So there's a bunch of data available to you that way. There's also strategies. These will give some introductory algorithms and explain, how to solve grids, give you various tips. It will tell you how to make your own series, detailed explanations of grid modifiers, algorithms that are useful in nodes, and just generally try to give you like a little bit of a head start. There's also a PDF that comes along, which is just duplicating the information that is here. So that is basically Sophie's Grids. It's free everywhere. You can play it in the browser, link below. You can play it on Steam. You can get it on your mobile through Google Play. It is not available on Mac OS or iOS. I'm sorry, I just can't support that right now. But otherwise, I hope you really have fun with it. I've enjoyed working on it. As you can see from like how quickly I'm solving some of these, I have played it a lot. And I think that you might enjoy it too. And if you prefer to just roll some dice in real life and then turn them, you can do that too. Like, it's an interesting challenge. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy. Bye!